Barbara Britt, welcome to the Refinery podcast. It is so good to see you this morning. Thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to record with me. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Rick. I'm excited and I'm happy to be here. This is the best time of the day. We're early in the morning and I love it.
Yeah, it is. It's a great time of day. It's always a good time of day for me to be on the line with you and to interact. I'm so grateful to be able to interact with you professionally. And we've been working on some great stuff. We want to talk about that. And,
Yes.
but your role is a cultural strategist, and we want to talk about what you do as a culture strategist. But let's talk about your journey and what led to that, because it's been quite a journey for you and some interesting and amazing accomplishments along the way. So you're welcome to start anywhere you want to and just talk about what sort of got you to where you are today.
I was privileged, Rick, and thank you, because it's always fun to go back and realize where you came from and how far you've gone and what led to this. I taught for 37 years and I coached 6 different sports along the way. And my last was in leadership. And so when I retired from teaching from 9th to 10th, 9th all the way to 12th grade students, when I retired, I knew I wasn't ready to be done yet. And
Yeah.
I knew I had a lot more. Culture is so important. So when I first got out, I started doing some coaching and all, but I found out that the root problem, if you want to call it that, was the culture. I
Yeah.
love where I live, just like I know all of you love where you live. And
Mm-hmm.
my community is powerful and it is so exciting. And we are doing so many great things. But just by coaching or doing some trainings, I realized that I could not really make the effective change that I wanted to make.
Mhm.
So when I was talking to my coach, Paul Martinelli, we talked about it. And he said, you know what you really do? He said, you're a culture strategist. He said, you
Absolutely.
go in. And so this is what I get to do. In fact, I just got to have a great breakfast meeting the other day with a group of people that are going to really, they make a big major change in our community, but people don't know their true culture. And
Mm.
so that stops you from making the impact that you want. So when I go into companies or to corporations, a military base, you name it, what I do is I listen to you and I
Mhm.
see the culture that you want. What are you really not saying? How do you want people to feel when they walk in? And I'm going to ask you all this question. How many of you can say they have a great culture? When I go in, I belong. They care about me. Their people are happy. Have you ever
Mm.
been someplace where the people weren't happy? Have you ever gone in for surgery like I have? And the whole nursing staff was very unhappy. I want to say, let's stop the surgery. I can help you with this. I can help your clients, your patients come in and feel better.
Yeah.
I can help take away the fear. So as a culture strategist, what I do is I find out really what you are at heart. Staff, how your staff feels. Are they excited to come to work on Monday? Yes,
Yeah.
I'm that person. I love to come to work on Monday. Why? Because we get to make so many changes and we get to do so many things. So
Mm.
when I come in, I listen to you. I do a lot of personality profiling, emotional intelligence. I do a lot of whys, why. And then when we get down to the culture,
Mm.
it's coming from the custodian all the way to the CEO. The culture's built in there. So what I do is I just help you to develop actually what you wanted in the first place
Yeah.
so that when your clients come in, they feel it.
I heard a guy say just a bit ago, I was listening to a guy, he said, culture is how people feel on Sunday about going to work on Monday.
That's right.
Yeah.
Are you excited? Are you? And that's it's so true. And to me, it's excitement because you get to build something. So when I do culture, I am actually working with the staff, the team, and I'm listening. As sometimes they haven't ever been listened to. They have
Mm.
great things. And so I'm excited. I'm excited if I truly get to make a difference. And
Yes,
then
for
you have
sure.
buy-in. There's your culture.
And that didn't start with you being a culture strategist. That's been the way you've operated for years, going back to your education days and your coaching days. This is not a new thing for you.
No, it's not. I just didn't know to call it culture strategy. It's like
Right.
that when Paul listened to me, he goes, Barbara, you're a culture strategist. And so I laughed and I go, yeah, I guess I am. It did go back. And it's about the feeling. I want everybody that's involved because to feel strongly about what they're doing, think about the time that you
Hmm.
spend at work. Why is my area one of the best areas to come and visit? Because we love having you come. Because if you don't come, it's not a great place for us to live.
Good. So you've said it, but I want you to say a little bit more, and then I've got another question for you. When you say it's all about the feeling, why are you focusing on that? What is the result of if you can get the feeling right? What else happens if the feeling is right? What else is going?
When you get that feeling, give yourself permission to use the best you. And you don't do that. You stay guarded. You stay guarded. What if someone, I'll give you an example, was at a big meeting with some people at the military base. You
Mm-hmm.
had scientists, you had engineers, you had the top. And one man got up and we were giving each person so much time to talk. And in the middle of him talking, the first couple of seconds, they interrupted him. They interrupted him. And he just had tears in his eyes. This is a grown man.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, this is what I'm talking about. I have ideas that can make a difference. You
Mm-hmm.
hired me for this, but that's not just who I am. And at that moment, everybody froze. And thank goodness that the CEO was just top notch. And he looked at me, he said, what do I do? And I said, you get an egg timer. And I said, and you let them have that much time to articulate and give what they need to do. And they get to do it weekly. That gentleman changed completely. The whole concept of that room changed completely because he felt heard and seen.
Mm-hmm.
He was a valuable asset. And he was going to leave them. He was a valuable asset, but because he didn't feel heard and he didn't feel like he was part of something bigger than himself. Don't you want to, Rick? Don't you want to create something and know that you added to this fabulous program?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that if we don't feel we're making that impact, we're working with like half of our wits tied behind our back.
Yeah.
And there is, when I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about the difference between a person being closed off versus being open. And I think that what you're describing is this guy was in danger of being closed off to himself because he had so much inside of him to bring to the culture. And thank goodness that you set the atmosphere where he was able to say that.
And you know what? The CEO was so good because he could have taken offense.
Right.
And there
Yeah.
are ones that do. And then he just looked at me and go, what do I do? And there was at least 30 of them. We're talking about the highest powered people collection that you could get. And that's what I said. All of you have unique gifts and talents. Okay. And so those have to be recognized and you have to be able to utilize them and get them better and stronger. And so that's what a culture does. Allows you to express that unique talent. And then you're going to be a solution person, not a problem person. You're not going to come with a problem. You're going to come with a solution because you can do it and you know that the people recognize that in you. Like I tell them, the only thing culture strategy costs you is actually hiring me in. It costs you nothing else, nothing at all.
Yeah, but it seems like it's something that doesn't happen automatically. It doesn't happen by default. It has to be by design. There's some intentionality that has to go into that.
And I have to listen to them. And I think sometimes when I come in and I just sit down and I'll go, oh, let's just talk. Tell me. And people go, how'd you know that about them? I ask questions and they answered me. And so that's how I know. So when you come in, it's actually seeing people. I don't ever see someone as a potential client and I want to get their business. I don't do that. I see them as a person that either has put all their hopes and dreams into that business they're doing. I want them to be able to get there, be able to go walk out of the office every day and go home to their family and feel like a success because that's when the family gets stronger. They look at their parents. So culture is about, I don't care where you see it, every place, ball fields.
Yeah.
Church. And so I just get
very good.
privilege. And it's not that I give you my idea of your culture. You give me your idea of how you want to live and breathe. And sometimes they don't know. But when we talk about it, and then I set up a method. Most of my clients, I stay with them for a year. And one client I've been with for 4 years now. Because you have those little kinks and bumps in the road, right?
Sure.
And if we don't watch it, we can actually disintegrate. That's why I believe in constantly debriefing, constantly checking in and someone being listened to. And that's really the part I play in most companies. When I come in, I am your private coach and it's been provided by your CEO.
Nice. So let's talk about your pre-culture strategist days, what you were mentioning at the beginning. and all of that time in education and teaching and coaching the different sports, what do you think? So even though you said you weren't calling it culture, talk about some of the experiences that were going on that have informed your approach today. From an experiential standpoint, what was your training ground for this? And what are some things you could point to as examples of how that's informed you today?
Thank you, because this is my story. Like you said before, this is my
Mhm.
story. Coached and I taught, and I was so privileged because I had fabulous athletes and students. Really
Mhm.
and truly, people go, oh, no, but I really did.
Yeah.
And I always, those were gifts to me. But I led, and I'm a high ID. And when
Mhm.
I coach and I teach, I'm a very high D and forget to smile. Some forget to do that.
Yeah. By the way, let me just interject for clarification. You're saying I'm a high D. We're talking about the DISC profile, which is a personality and
Yes,
temperament
I'm
profile.
sorry.
And so
And that's what
D is like driving dominant. I is like the Jimmy Fallons of the world, the interactors, the people that are the influencers. So just to
Yes,
clarify
and
for, yeah.
I am that. I am a driver. And
Yeah.
give me an idea, and I go, okay, and I go on. And I did that all the way through my coaching and always
Mhm.
developed my leaders. And they came up and they actually ran the team. I did do that. When I got leadership at Fort Walton Beach High School, and we ended
Mhm.
up, we started with 25, 27 students, but when I retired, we had 300 students
Wow.
that came because they could be part of something bigger than themselves. I had done it for 1 year, and I was with another lady and Patty Benezi, and I was with her, and she left.
Mhm.
People said, do you want to keep it going? I said, yes, I want to keep it going. And they go, oh, we'll give you this teacher. And so I went back to my students. Now, I want to tell you what these were in their sophomore year, the ending of their sophomore year. And they said, I go, they want to give us this teacher. And they go, Miss Britt, don't bring her on. She'll smother us. And I said, okay, if you're going to step it up for the next 2 years. Those two gentlemen stepped it up for the next 2 years. And they absolutely, this was from the end of their sophomore, going into their junior year.
Mhm.
And I said, what can I do? And they go, let us lead, please.
Mm.
Would you let us lead? Because I do take charge and I do
Mhm.
that. And I said, okay, I can do that on one condition. And that's you debrief every Monday. And so I met with those two gentlemen, and then my whole class is debrief. So I'm talking from ninth graders on, they debrief what they say. And so that makes the difference. And I now carry that. But let us lead. Miss Britt, would you do that? And that changed the complexity of leadership. One of the largest leadership programs in the United States and one of the first in Florida. And this was student led,
Nice.
truly student led. I was their backbone. But
Nice.
that's what, but the reason they came, and my students would drive out of county. Some of my kids would leave at 4:30 in the morning to drive into our school.
Mhm.
And the reason they did was they got to be part of something bigger than themselves. And their creativity, their skill sets were acknowledged. And it would be even something like, I'm the organizer. And we go, okay, keep us on task. I'm that. And like my high school boys would say, I had defensive, offensive linemen in my class, and they
Mhm.
would come in and they'd go, we're the Bubba boys, Miss Britt. We move stuff, we do this, and we have trucks. And when football practice is over, we're at your, and people go, what's big about that? We helped women that were displaced with their children and thrown out into the front yard. My guys picked them up,
Yeah.
relocated them, bought pizza and Coca-Cola, and sat there that night with those kids in their new place.
What an incredible experience for a young person to have, to be able to
Yeah.
serve someone in the,
And
yeah.
they're still out in my community, and they're making a difference everywhere because someone let them lead.
Yeah.
Hey, but how many companies do you not get to lead? How many organizations are you putting a bonk?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. So let's think about, let me ask before I move on, because in terms of just your education career accomplishments and your sports, because you went to leadership, but also a lot of your sports stuff, you had a huge impact in the cheerleading realm, right?
I was privileged. Yes, I was very privileged.
Is there anything about that you want to just talk about and how that's influenced what you're doing, or any other sport, by the way? But I know as you and I have talked, there's been some things about those days of being a cheerleading coach have definitely had an influence, right?
Yes, it most importantly did. And then they also took leadership. So I would,
Yeah, great.
yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is that from the very beginning and starting in the ninth grade, and we were lucky, we were national under
Mhm.
32 years.
Yeah.
We did lots of wonderful things. And now all the most of the organizations, schools and junior high schools actually have my students are coaching. And they did it just and then at the high school where I coached all
Yeah.
those years, it's two of my kids. One of them running leadership, one of them running cheerleading.
Oh,
The
what a
thing
great
about
level.
it was that they never forgot about it was your responsibility. It was all about it was about you. And
Mhm.
we would have practice. And when we have hurricanes, which we do here,
Sure.
I'll never forget, we had to pick up our mats, take them outside because the water was coming up in our field house and we wouldn't have any more money to buy that. We would practice. They would go and muck out someone's house. Mucking
Mhm.
is when all that debris come into your house and you have to
Yeah.
take a shovel. And our leadership kids and my cheerleaders were there. They would muck it out, turn around and come back to practice because you always had to see how you influenced someone else. Like with the cheerleaders, I go, there's some child's eyes on you at all time. They want to be just like you. So what do you want them? How do you want them to be? But Mike started taking responsibility at a very early age in leadership and in cheerleading, like in the 9th grade. And by the time they were seniors, that's how they would work their way of getting up there.
Yeah.
And do I have time to tell you a short story?
Absolutely. We have all the
Okay.
time in the
We
world.
had a custodian, the girls' field house. I coached for a long time before we got that, by the way. But anyway, the girls' field house was at the very end of the school, out there in
Mhm.
the dark. And we had this lovely custodian lady. We just loved her. She was great. And she would come in and she would clean. We were the last place that she would go to at night. She became very
Mm.
ill. And she could not, but she had to come to work, but she couldn't afford not to come to work. And she
Okay.
was extremely ill for a long time. And so one night she comes in and I've just packed the girls off and they're out. And she comes in and she's white and sick, very ill. And I
Mm.
go, what are you doing here? And she said, Barbara, I got to work. And I said, okay, don't come back down here. You're not allowed down here. I said, I'll take care of it. Do not come back down here. You just do your other job so you can go home because it was an hour in our place. We
Mhm.
were neat and clean.
Yeah.
And so anyway, one day I'm scrubbing the toilets and I'm doing all this because girls' field house, we have a lot of toilets.
Yeah.
So I'm scrubbing, I'm doing it. And girls go, what are you doing, Miss Britt? Why are you doing all? And I said, our custodian is ill and she can't work, but she can't. I said, I want her to go home and be able to go home an hour early every night. And I said, I don't want her doing this. She's sick. And they said, team meeting. And that meant they could go to their locker room and I was not allowed in. It was a team meeting.
Yeah.
This is how they controlled and ran themselves. And so I said, okay, you got 5 minutes and then get back out to practice. And they came back in and they go, 9th graders have it Monday, Tuesday, they took their age and you have it this day. Okay. So you have it that day. They never said a word to anybody else. Do you see how they led themselves?
Mm.
Was that not beautiful? I
Yeah.
mean,
That's
they never said a word about her. At Christmas, she got Christmas presents. They just adopted her and took her on.
Mm.
That's because they were allowed to lead. And I wish I would have learned to let them lead a lot earlier, but I did leadership my last 16 years. And that's
Yeah.
when Brand Kroger and Kevin Schmidt said, let us lead, Miss.
nice. Nice. So if we're moving that transition time of you moving out of education and into what you're doing now, talk about some of the along the way. What are some of the trainings that you've gone through and the things that have informed? Because I know that you have a tremendous amount to offer and there's your specific signature thing that we wanted to get to. But outside of that, along the way, what are some of the trainings and things that you've gone through that both inform you as a culture strategist and have informed your signature program, which I'll go ahead and say is the Empowered Culture Pathway. We'll talk about more later, but yeah, I'll just talk about some of those other things.
I didn't want to retire, but because of our retirement system in our state and all, I went ahead and it was the best time for me to retire after 37 years. I got into the business. I immediately signed up for John Maxwell and I went there because I had been doing all this and I had my degree, but it was not in what we call leadership. And so to give validity to what I was doing, I went to John Maxwell. That's where I heard Paul Martinelli on stage. And he is such a guru. The first time I went, I met Les Brown, Paul Martinelli, and I got to work on speaking and got to learn to get my story out. And I
Nice.
learned that by Les Brown saying, you're going about this. Let me help you here. And so he helped me with that. And now I use that every single day. But I took personality profiling, emotional intelligence, anything that I can take and work
Hmm.
on that will help people to actually strive and become a better version of themselves.
Yep.
We have these talents, right? And
Hmm.
sometimes they never get recognized. And so I take courses like that, hypnosis right now.
Hmm.
I'm doing that. I'm being licensed in speaking now with Paul Martinelli and Ona Les Brown's daughter.
His daughter. Yeah.
Anything that I can do, because in my chamber, I go in and I do the branding speeches and I get everybody ready when they first start their businesses. The elevator speech, but their branding
Yeah.
speech that I help them to actually get people's attention for what they can offer, the byproduct of what they do. So I've got thousands of hours of going in and getting courses, 7 levels of awareness,
Mhm.
anything that I see out there. And I do 2 to 4 trainings, certifications a year. So when I come to you, I want to be able to actually make sure I can help you, that I can see you. I want to be able to see you, who you are, where are your giftedness, and I want to help you to build to strengthen those. So that's what I do for people most of the time. So I've had how to do your money, all those different things. I think I'm certified in every one of Paul's areas.
Yeah.
And
And
Dr.
we can.
Telling me how to
Yeah.
influence. I work with different companies on sales. Like, I'm certified in the sales program, the master
Mhm.
sales program. Why? Because I work with people. That's how they make their living.
Mhm.
How do you sell and stay ethical?
Mhm.
Because I really go in. If it's not a win-win for everybody,
Yeah.
then it's not a win. If it's not a win-win for everybody. So I will take courses, I take programs, I will go and get certified. I will bring people with me and help them get certified. But I don't think that there's ever, like I stay with a coach. I have Paul Martinelli is my coach, Jenna is my coach, and Rick is my coach. If
Mhm.
I see an area that I need, I go after it and I show no shit. I go after it. But when I talk to my clients, they know that I'm willing to put myself out there
Mhm.
and be certified and to be that. And so they gravitate to me because they
Yeah.
know that they realize how important it is.
Yeah.
So I'm always growing and learning. Also with my clients, and what you did, Rick asked me this. He said, "Do you want me to create material for you?" And I said, "No, please don't," because I'm like this. When you talk to me, I come up with solutions and workable. I am a motivational speaker,
Yeah.
but I'm a motivational speaker that comes away with strategies for you. So
Yes.
you get that sugar high. The next morning you get up and you go, "This is my first step. This is my
Nice.
second step. This is how I do it." Anything that comes down, I think this is my third one now, and on my third and fourth one, and I'll finish up my year because
Mhm.
I start in October, finishing
Mhm.
up this year strong,
Mhm.
25, and then building for 26. So
Yeah.
already walking and making sure that 26 is strong and powerful. That's how I train my clients. So if I don't get the certifications, the coaching certifications, if I don't get those, how could I possibly help move you along? Just
Yeah.
like Gen Zers. People are saying, "Oh, Gen Zers don't want to work. They don't want to do that." I love Gen Zers.
Mhm.
Love that young millennial. Those were my
Mhm.
kids. I know without a doubt they can do remarkable things. So if I take those courses, then I can help pull each other. So we see each other really for our giftedness, not what we can't do, but what we can and are willing to do.
Very nice. So let's talk about the speaking because you have a very unique way of showing up in the room as a speaker. I think one thing that we've talked about is a lot of speakers come in and say, "Hey, look at me." And you have a way of coming in and saying, "Hey, look at you." And a lot of speakers come in to be heard. And what you do that's unique as a speaker is that you help people, even from the stage, feel seen and heard. Talk about that a little bit.
I'm lucky, and I learned this with my training with Paul Martinelli and John Maxwell, and that was know your crowd before you go in. Well,
Mhm.
I will always go in probably in something different than what I'm going to get on the stage with. And
Mhm.
I walk around and I get to know and I ask you questions. So they just think this was this friendly person coming up to them, which I am. But I will go ahead and from that, I can alter or change or pivot. To say that one of the things I do is I teach people and they'll go, "Teach me not to be afraid to get on stage." And
Mhm.
then later on they'll say, we haven't started that yet. And I go, "Are you afraid to get up on stage?" "No." "Okay, it's done." But what I do is it's really about looking out in the audience. And what I'm doing is looking for sales of recognition. So when
Mhm.
I prepare to do a speech or a training, first of all, you're going to walk away with actual steps You're going to create those steps sitting right there,
Mhm.
that table. You're going to be up working on it. You're going to be developing those networking people that you need to build a call on. And no matter if they live in a different area, but they have some of that strength that you need and you're
Yeah.
sharing yours. So that's really what I do. And I'm looking for sales. So I set up the information that they want. I find out everything about that company or organization, why I'm
Mhm.
going there. How does that city live? Really and truly know what the unemployment is. I will,
Yeah.
before I go to speak. What? Because that's how their people are living. You can't talk to them. And so I'm looking for sales of recognition. I get
Yeah.
out there, but I make the main thing. And then a day or two beforehand, I do tremendous research on what I'm going to talk about. So I'm
Yeah.
bringing fresh ideas. I look at them, and if I need to pivot and I can look in that audience, I don't see sales of recognition.
Mhm.
See people doing that. I've even stopped and said, "Hey, I'm not seeing you. Yell out
Mhm.
what you need, and I'm going to give it to you."
Yeah.
But my thing is that I can, if you tell me something, I can create it. That's why I told Rick, he's created wonderful things for me. He's pulled my stuff together, thank goodness.
Mhm.
But to create more material, I already have thousands of pounds in there, but he has helped me to pull it together. That's what I do with other people. So when
Yeah.
I come, I am privileged to get to be there with you. And what I learn about you, it's going to make me better to go on to the next person. It's
Yeah.
really not about what you want me about me. It's what I
Mhm.
can do. So as soon as I'm going to be doing a conference in February, as she started talking and the people need this, the next time we met, I said, "This is what I've already developed for them. Do
Yeah.
you like
Nice.
it?" And it's about you.
Yeah.
It's about someone else. If you ever do it for you or
Mhm.
what you can get from them, I think it's a hard way to face yourself. And that's where
Yeah.
ethical persuasion and influence comes along.
Yeah, and it's an absolute master class in reading the room is what you're giving us, and the way that you do that, and also the value of that is that they're walking away right now with something they're using. Not there's an interesting statistics about going to conferences, listening to speakers, and how quickly the percentage of what's shared with you gets lost.
W-
Also, other studies of them just say this because I'm reinforcing why what you do is so valuable. I'll retain about 7% if someone lectures me, but if I teach, I retain about 93%. So I totally flip flop it if I go to teaching, and so you're helping people
Yeah.
teach themselves in the room, right?
If when you learn something, and Paul laughs all the time because when he does a training,
Mm.
3 or 4 days later, I'm actually teaching what he just taught me
Yeah.
because you hear it, you digest it, you eat it, you
Hmm.
digest it. How does that? You apply it, and then the next day you're teaching it. So the next day when I'm teaching it, I'm giving you, how did I learn how to do that? What are
Yeah.
some steps? Because what you have to empower others.
Mm.
You go, they just have to get it from me. You can't survive on that. Then you're not actually. So to me is, can they leave that next day? 'Cause how
Hmm.
many have you been sugar high? How I can motivate you to do anything. I can motivate girls to get out there in front of 34,000 people and win a
Hmm.
national title. But you got to be able, they've got to be able to be empowered enough to take that and actually give that to somebody else. Or
Yeah.
I can't go in there and take up your valuable time and not give that to you.
Yeah. And by the way, you really hit on the word empowered, which is why what you do is called the empowered culture pathway. You really are empowering the culture. By the way, I'm going to give you a new phrase. You ready for it?
I am.
Okay. We could say that you're a powerhouse, but that's not what you are. You ready for what you are?
Yes, I would
You're
love it.
empower house.
I like
You
that.
are an empower house,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Text that to me.
right. So you just said, I can motivate girls to go out and win a national title in front of 34,000 people, right? And that someone might go, oh, what a powerhouse coach. And no, what you really are doing in culture, and that's why it's an empowered culture pathway, is that you're coming in as an empower house. That's your presence. That's who you are. That's what you're bringing, what you're sharing. And the idea is, I am not the source. I am just helping you to be more resourced and understand your
That's right.
resourcefulness.
Well, and let you find yours because you have it. Because I have a tremendous amount of energy. I'm like
Mhm.
this at 4:30 in the morning and like this at 12 at night. Okay,
Yep.
so I have a tremendous amount of energy. So I'm going to come to you, and for that second, I'm going to look and see what you have to offer, maybe that no one else has seen before. We're going to lift it up. I'm giving you that energy, but I believe in you.
Mhm.
Know that you can do what you were put on this earth to do. I
Mhm.
truly believe that we're
That's
all
it. Yeah.
created uniquely and that
Mhm.
we have our own designs to go out and do that. And we're all better when we're doing that. Okay.
Yeah, and that's very contagious what you're sharing there and when you show up, and that's what people are really catching. They're catching. You're not teaching it to them, it's caught, not taught.
I love that.
Yeah. So let's just talk about the empowered culture pathway because, again, as you said, you're always training in something and you're letting that training come immediately through you. That is empowerment, by the way. And so there's all kinds of certifications and different things. And you have this that is really your own, which is the empowered culture pathway. So let's just talk about some of the things that are in there. Pick any of them because there's kind of 9 different key elements in there, and pick any of them. And let's just talk about one of the elements of the empowered culture pathway that you're using with people.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah. Okay. How about this? Let's go with the undo list. Let's start with the undo list. Talk
Oh,
about the undo
undo
list. Yeah.
list. Oh, I always start that with everybody in October. Undo list is it goes onto your calendar and it starts with a circle of influence. These are things that I've just developed because that's how my mind thinks. But the undo
Mhm.
list, what are you doing? It
Mhm.
doesn't serve you. We just keep it. I go, why? And you go, just because I've always done it.
Yeah.
And I have those hard conversations with my coaches. They will say, why, Barbara? And I'll go, it's because I'm this little bulldog and I just latch onto something. And I just know if I work hard enough, I can fix it. But undo list is looking at it. Is it helping you to grow personally and professionally? Is it helping you to grow that? Is it helping you to stay in ethical situations? Is it helping
Mhm.
you to always stay on the ethical side? Because when I know we can come right to that line. And
Yeah.
so if it's not, are those people that you're surrounding yourself with, are they at least at a level 3 out of 5? If
Mhm.
they're not, then you're basing a lot of your decisions and emotions, people that you don't even, they don't even value what you value, but you're allowing them to influence you. Can't
Mhm.
do that. Can't do
Yeah.
that. So the undo list is really looking at each thing and saying, okay, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to
Mhm.
get rid of that. And then you're the one that gets to decide that. It's not me. I don't sit there and tell you
Yeah.
that's the thing. I help you unpack it. I
Yeah.
don't tell you how you have.
Yeah. You're not giving them the recipe. You're helping them
No.
to know how to be a master chef, right?
Yeah. And you might unpack it totally different. And that's great. And it's the
Mhm.
right way because that's you. That's how you're going to grow and develop. So undo list frees you. Oh my gosh. People will say, Barbara, I'm 20 pounds lighter. Why have I been doing that? And some things we just do. Sometimes we hang around with caustic people.
Mhm.
Don't believe what we believe.
Yeah.
They don't have the values that we have.
Hmm.
And so that's undo list just lets you go through these questions I have. And sometimes they've added questions and they go, Barbara, what about this? I'll go, okay, it's now on the undo list too.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. And it gives you, I also color code it. So you have your personal and your professional, because I want to tell
Mhm.
you what, if either one of them are not in sync
Mhm.
with you and your values, your
Yeah.
ethics, if it's one or the other, you are not going to be that whole entity and you're not
Mhm.
going to be able to accomplish what you want. And remember, someone's watching you always.
Mhm.
And someone's going, if she can do it, if he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing too, because there's a wholeness. It's a really interesting way when someone shows up when they're complete, when they're whole. When you don't get the feeling, there's just things we pick up on when we get the feeling that someone's pretending. And it does feel it's fragmented. And so I don't know if I'm doing the best job of putting it into words, but I appreciate that you said that. And the fact that there's a lot of things that we're involving that are fragmenting our lives, and we're just doing them because we're familiar with them
Yeah.
personally and professionally. And
And how
yeah,
you treat people. One of the biggest things, you go out, you eat or you go out, how does that person interact with the wait staff or with, how do they interact? I can tell you right now, I've been places that I thought I was in alignment with someone
yeah,
and they treated someone horribly. And I went,
mm,
whoa, let me walk back. And
yeah,
the undo list allows you to walk back. And you know what? It's all right. You can get rid of that because when you trade that out, I
mhm,
always say every time I trade out something and what am I going to pick up that's fabulous, that's
yeah,
going to carry me forward? And you're going to be
really
carried
good.
forward until you hit the last run ready
Mm,
and you're taken.
yeah, yeah. Really good. Very good. Okay, let's pick one more. What one more thing on that's part of the empowered culture pathway. Let's pick another one that we could talk about.
One of the major things I do is branding, and
Mhm.
I'm very interactive with my chamber, very
Mhm.
interactive. And we have a large chamber. We'll have 400 to 500 people at our first Friday breakfasts. And people get to get up there when they're new businesses. And
Mhm.
so it wasn't long when I asked our CEO of the chamber, I said, can I do training on them with an elevator? And then I went away from elevator and went to branding, and that's what I do now. And branding is so important because it makes it where you are not, you can stay ethical. You can
Mhm.
let people know who you truly are. So I do it with the chamber. That's something
Mhm.
that I give each new business. It's a gift from me to start off your journey
Yeah.
into our community. That's what I give back to my community. But branding's really big. I do it with a lot of companies. Branding is this. We talk about your byproduct. How do
Mm.
people feel when you're remember, people don't care about the first 4 seconds about your name or the name of your business.
Mhm.
Don't. But when you brand, you let people know that that's a want. And people buy for two things. They buy emotionally, and they want it. I want it. And so if you can think of the words that create a picture, you watch cartoons or you've seen comic books where you get that little picture above. Well,
Mm.
our words do that for people.
Mm.
That's where that cell of recognition comes in. So people will say, there's hundreds of us coaches, thousands of realtors, thousands of bankers. Okay. But there's nobody that does what you do. So I will say, give me the byproduct or give me some words of the byproducts. And I will tell you what, I actually got my starting on this from Les Brown. So I'm going to give credit for credit's due.
Mm.
And okay, don't ever be afraid to give credit for,
Sure.
for, for something else. But on the branding, so what you do is, and I'll just give you an example.
Mm.
I am a culture strategist. Hi, I'm Barbara Britt. I'm a culture strategist. First 4 seconds, you don't remember it and you don't care because
Mm.
it wasn't about you. It's got to be about that other person. You
Mm.
didn't come to serve. You're not going to get what you need and want. What mine is engagement,
Mhm.
total engagement, excitement about coming in on Monday and Friday go, oh, darn, I almost had it.
Mm.
I have to wait till Monday to do it now. I can't believe I was asked about this. I'm leading something now that I always wanted to leave, but no one knew it because I
Mm.
didn't tell them. Hi, I'm Barbara Britt. I'm a culture strategist. And that's what I empower your staff, your people to do. And
Mhm.
that's exactly how I enter it. So I'm giving you what I do. Hi, I'm Barbara Britt, culture strategist. Do you know that every time you lose someone from your team, it's $25,000? But that's not the worst of it. What's the worst of it is that you did not factor in the part that it causes a lot of stress, anxiety, unhappiness with your staff. Even if it was someone that they didn't care for, all those things are driven in there. So this is where culture strategy comes in. This is where the branding. I let people hear, and even if I'm not going to use you, or those aren't things I need right now, I know someone else that does. And so to me, when you do a branding speech and you walk off that stage in front of 400 to 500 people at our chamber, people should be waiting over there going, I need what you have. I want what you have. And
Nice.
that's a branding speech. It's beautiful. You don't
Mhm.
sell. You're
Mhm.
not selling. So you don't have to feel bad. Or some people will say, I don't want to feel like this as part of an industry. I don't want to feel like that. I go, you don't. Just tell a story. Or are you ready to lose $25,000? That happens when they walk out because you're investing in someone. So let's invest in them correctly. So that's what a branding speech does. And many people do beautiful things, but we don't know about them. And I'll go, no, that's your story. That's your story, as Les Brown would say.
Mhm.
That is your true story.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. So right now, what's on your horizon now? What is, of course, we've been putting a lot of work into the just refinement of all of the things that you do into this empowered culture pathway. What's on your horizon now?
I'm so excited because I'm finishing off my year strong and I'm enabling other of my clients to finish off their year strong. And I just finished with an organization, EDC, in our area, in our county, and they have them all over, but
Mhm.
what brings in the corporations into our community. They help with jobs. They help do so many things. EDC does so many wonderful things, but we don't always know about it. So when I talked to them the other day, now they're going to bring me on, and I get the privilege of working and helping their branding and helping some of the aspects of leadership. So that makes my community better, puts me with people that are making a difference. And just think about this. If your community was better informed, if your
Mhm.
community understood how they could be part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
I'm a small business. These are powerhouse businesses. But the thing about it is I can contribute and I can bring in. And when I do that, then I'm more interested in where I live. I'm more interested. And you know what? I get out and vote.
Yeah.
And I ask the questions that are important. So that's one thing, Rick. And I just met with the two gentlemen on Friday morning for breakfast. Loved it. And I was excited
Nice.
to be into that arena because I know I can make a difference. I really, truly can, even though I'm not a large company. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to launch my speakers kit.
Mm.
I've already spoken in about 12 different countries, and I speak a lot here.
Mm.
But I'm doing more of my professional speaking so that I can go out. Why? Because
Yeah.
as Les Brown said, if you go out and speak to a crowd, you can affect a lot more change. I can
Yeah.
make a difference.
And people can certainly hire you for speaking for a variety of events and needs. And I think that if they're listening here, they understand the value that they're going to get. It's, again, the people in the room are going to leave being more empowered in who and whose they are and why it matters and the difference that they make and the reasons why they're here. And that's a special thing when you think about putting together an event and you want that event to make an impact.
Yeah.
The people that you bring along with you in that event matter. And yeah, and we're going to make sure that anyone who's listening to this, they'll already see that there's links to you and there's plenty of ways to get a hold of you. So if they're watching this, we'll make sure that there is. Let's think about this. Today's your last day and you got one message to leave. What is the one thing you would want to say if this was your parting message and I'm out of here? What would be that message?
There is resources everywhere you look to human beings. And I want you to really see them. And you can't see others until you can see yourself, what you bring. So I'm just saying that. Listen and utilize their strengths and their giftedness. That's what's so beautiful. That's the only thing I can say is just look out there because I see on me a lifeline going to Rick. And immediately, and Rick will tell you, I ran over when he got up and said what he did. I ran over and I said, I want to get with you because I knew he had something that
Mhm.
I needed. And he has
Mhm.
been able to bring in all of this. And I go, okay, because otherwise I have a lot of energy. But now I can empower more people. I can
Yeah.
do more of what I was created to do. And so that's what
Excellent.
I want. Look in your office and really see them. They don't have to be like you. In fact, you don't want them to be like you.
That's awesome. You are truly an empower house, and everywhere you go, you help people feel seen and heard, no matter what you're doing. And I certainly appreciate you. And thank you so much for being a part of the Refinery podcast.
Well, thank you, Rick. Oh, so awesome. I have to brag on Rick. Thank you so much.
All right.